What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing our spoiler-free review of Creepshow Season 2, Episode 5 finale on Shudder. Let's get into it. So, I didn't realize this was going to be the last episode of the whole season, so I guess there were only going to be 5 episodes when last season had 7, so I was a little confused by this being the finale. We were right about one thing, and that was that this was the episode that was going to have 1. It was on the end, we just didn't know that this was going to be the finale, or at least I didn't. Did you? So, we got treated today to one segment for the entire episode. Probably because this is the episode that the Marilyn Manson episode was going to be on, and they removed that one. This one, we got Night of the Living Late Show, which I thought was going to be about a news studio and all this other stuff and zombies and stuff. There was zombies. This segment, of course, was directed by Greg Nicotero, which is the obvious show executive producer and all-around guy who's been doing stuff here in horror for a long time. And we also have writer Dana Gould, who has been on The Simpsons for a long time. He actually did a lot of different voices. He also wrote one of the more recent movies called Toys of Terror, which we thought was pretty decent, actually. And he also wrote for Stand Against Evil. So it gives you any idea what to expect. Here you go. We get some familiar faces for the stars this week, including Justin Long, who was obviously one of my first movies that I always remember him in is Jeepers Creepers. He also did the recent movie called The Wave, which was pretty trippy and fun. And he's also actually the Roboto voice in the reboot animated series of Masters of the Universe, which should be coming out, I think, this year. We also have Darcy Carden, who, as I always remember, is the robot girl in The Good Place, which is really funny. She's really good in that show. She was also in Barry and Broad City. And we also get Hannah Fearman, who I always remember from the VHS series, the very first VHS anthology on a segment called Amateur Night, where she was the girl with the split face. And she was also in another movie called Agatha. She's been in a ton of horror. Now, this episode I really actually rather enjoyed. We kind of get like another segment in here where the creep is like putting on a VR helmet and sort of playing out the Night of the Living Dead in the very beginning, which I was like really into. Why hasn't anybody made a Night of the Living Dead game where it is in black and white and maybe the blood's just red and you sort of go through the whole story? You could play it as a single player campaign or do multiplayer where the horde is coming in trying to get into the house. I think this would be awesome. Like if someone could do like a legit zombie game, not just like, you know, silly 8-bit or anything like that, like a legit game, but in black and white with red blood, I think that would go over really well. Producers, hit me up. Plus, it's public domain, so I don't know if they could use the faces of everybody, but I don't know, something to think about. Also, something else I want to mention before we get into our flesh and potatoes of the actual segment is that in the beginning, you know how they show the Creepshow comic and then they open the pages? On the left-hand side, I noticed that it had, you know, all the different names of all the different segments this season. And I noticed that there was one in there that we didn't see, and it was called Shapeshifters Anonymous. And it says something about the false gods and how the religious leaders came in. Is this the Marilyn Manson segment that we didn't get to see? Did you guys notice that? I didn't even watch that in all these episodes this entire season, and it just dawned on me right then and there. Anyway, this segment is about a man who has designed some sort of virtual reality where you lay in a virtual reality pod with a virtual reality helmet, and inside the pod, it can scan your entire body with all these cameras so that you can actually be projected into a film. In this particular case, it is Horror Express with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. It was interesting that they chose that movie, but I guess it's because Justin Long's character was head over heels in love with the Countess in this movie. But he designs this huge machine that's in literally his living room down the end of the hall. And he's like, it works. It works. He's like in the thing talking to Christopher Lee. So they did some really cool like transitions in between. So like putting him in the actual movie. And this is nothing new. I mean, this has been done in a lot of different movies. Who doesn't dream about being put into a favorite movie of theirs? As a horror fan, even like what we think about like being in those movies and being like, oh, I don't know if I want to be in that one. But if you could just walk around in one of your favorite movies, like how cool would that be? Pretty fucking cool. But it's kind of weird because like everything is completely done, right? Like his whole project looks really neatly packaged, like it's ready to sell to other people, minus all the little buttons and bells and whistles all over the walls. I guess all that stuff is included. I don't know. His wife lives with him, and his wife acts like, oh, it's done, neat. Oh my God, show me. Like you've never shown her before that this is seemed really weird. I know it's just a minor stupid thing to think about, but it just made me think about it. Like, oh shit, there's this large pod in the living room. Why is this there? I don't know. He talks about, you know, everything that it is and why he created it. And he was like, this is for those poor schlubs out there who want to get out of their lives and escape to a place where it's better. And he kind of realizes he's getting carried away with it. And his wife almost takes it personally, like, as if he's trying to escape. The reason he created this anyway is to escape her because he's not happy with her life. And, you know, at first it kind of feels a little off-putting because we haven't experienced that from him yet. But to find out, he actually is trying to escape her and go see his love of his life, who is the Countess in Horror Express, apparently. They get into sort of a tiff. She's like, yeah, my dad told me that I shouldn't marry you. And he's like, but I fought for it. And she's like, and he still said no. But I fought for it, and he still said no, and that you were just going to try to get me for my money. And I mean, very clearly, like whatever item he has here is going to be making a lot of money because people are going to want it. So you're going to have plenty of money. But as we find out, the real problem isn't that he's spending her money. It's that he's fallen in love with the actress in Horror Express by the name of Sylvia Tortosa, who played the woman, the Countess, in that movie. And of course, he has a love affair with her in that thing. But I'm like, she's not even real. But I guess it would be kind of make you sad that they can't get that from you. But I don't know if I would get that upset to where this leads. You know what I mean? I'd be like, what the fuck? It's not real. I don't know. What would you guys do? Anyway, make a long story short, he keeps going in and out, in and out. They're kind of panning to the monster in Horror Express while he's kind of going on a rendezvous with the Countess. And there's a side story going on while the two things are happening simultaneously. And I thought they did a pretty good job of matching everything up to kind of make it seem like they were talking to each other. Plus, Hannah Fierman is kind of filling in for the spots that they couldn't make that work. And she's playing the part of the Countess in the movie, which was a little jarring. I don't think she looked exactly like her, but, you know, it was similar enough, I guess. I don't know. What did you guys think? I'd love to hear. Then, one time, he plays sick, like he's going to bed, but really he's going to go have sex with the Countess. And she comes back early and finds him completely nude inside the machine, which triggers the fuck out of her. I mean, granted, I would be a little curious as to what the fuck was going on myself there, but it kind of made me laugh. Like, and then she didn't even like open it up to like tell him to fuck off. She just went back to bed, and then he tried to lie to her. He lied to her a couple of times, very obviously. So she just wasn't having it. So finally, when he comes to bed after the sexual encounter with the Countess, she goes in naturally to see what's going on. And when she goes in, she tells the Countess off and tells her that her husband's been fucking her and blah, 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 which was really funny. It was kind of interesting. And then they chase each other through the train car where the monster's being held, and its red eye glows and makes her eyes bleed, almost smoothing over her brain. But she hits the button somehow and gets out of it, so she's not got complete smooth brain. I'm not 100%, because in the Horror Express, obviously, when you stare at this monster and you cut open someone's head, their whole brain has not one wrinkle in it, as if to say there is no memories in that person's brain. So maybe she forgot how much she loved him and decided to exact her revenge on him when she gets out. That morning when he wakes, he sees his wife's been up to something, and he's kind of trying to get past her really quick so he can get back into the simulation to probably fuck the Countess. So He's not really paying attention. She's like, oh, I got breakfast. I got your coffee. He goes in and tries to fire up Horror Express to leave off where he left. And she switches it from Horror Express over to Night of the Living Dead. And she takes the Rose Garden clippers and actually cuts off his thumb so he can't get out of the simulation. And he gets eaten to death by the zombies. Which, I mean, you do have 4 other fingers. You could just... But for the sake of the show, she removed his thumb so he couldn't escape, and he got his just desserts for cheating on her, which I thought was kind of cool. Overall, I thought this was a cool episode. One of the better ones, I think, out of this entire season. And then we go back to Creep, who's cartoon form, by the way, is wearing the VR headset, and he's playing the Night of the Living Dead. And then a helicopter picks up your character in it. The same helicopter that was in Dawn of the Dead, which then also they use another helicopter that was very similar in Day of the Dead, and they kind of go through each, which I thought was pretty cool, actually. I like that. I'm probably just trying to fill some space up so that the episode wasn't so short. But all in all, I enjoyed this particular episode. It got my brain thinking a little bit. Didn't really find too many Easter eggs or anything like that, but it is what it is. So now let's talk about what we thought of this entire season 2. One, it's a little too short. I mean, why did I understand the 1 episode, but why not 7 episodes like we got last time? I feel like this was kind of a weird misstep. Maybe it had something to do with COVID. I don't know. Maybe they were limited on the budget the second season and wanted to see what they could do more. I thought they were going to pump more money into it because of season 1 being so successful. So it's a little confusing to me. If I were to be honest and compare it to the first season that we got, I mean, I feel like we got more bang for our buck on the first season than we did the second season. Now, we are going to get a 3rd season. It's already been announced a couple weeks ago or so by Greg Nicotero himself. I'm kind of hoping that we get some of that again. Maybe they're going to hang on to that 1 episode or that segment with Marilyn Manson until things blow over. Who knows? I think last season I gave it like a 7 or 7.5 overall. I enjoyed both seasons, but I think this one is probably more of a 6 or 6.5 compared to the other one. I think it's a step down a little bit, which is surprising. Even though I still enjoy these kind of things, not just because I get to talk to you guys about it, but I just like these kind of things. I think they're enjoyable and they're fun, and I look forward to watching this. It's kind of like an event for me. And I'm sure some of you who come by here each week to just discuss this and post in the comment section or just watch it are thinking the same thing. It's like a little event. But yeah, I'm a little disappointed with this season. I'm open to the next one. I hope that we get more segments and more seasons in the future. Shudder is owned by AMC, so the money is there. It's just whether or not it is financially sound for them to do it through Shudder or not. In any case, I still enjoyed it. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy this season? Were you let down by this season? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. For those of you who have been following along this whole season and even last season, thank you so much for coming by and spending time with me. Shit means the world to me because I enjoy talking about this kind of stuff, and I get to speak to people like you about these episodes, whether we agree or not. You know, everybody has their own opinions, and that's totally fine by me. For those of you who are coming by for the Creepshow each week, stick around. We do have more in the pipeline that we're going to be doing. Maybe a new show. If you got any ideas, let me know. But other than that, thanks for coming by. And as always, long live the void. Long live the void.